Good evening, Havarim. So this is the final video that I had said that I was going to make, following up from my How Do We Study the Otiot Part 1 and Part 2 videos with the picture of the Aleph on the ancient stones. So I realized in the making of those videos that it's very necessary for all of us to get these ingrained in our minds. Right here I have the list of the letter forms that are very similar to each other in modern Hebrew, and then over here I have the ones that are not really too easy to confuse because they pretty much stand alone in their imagery. So let me get the camera right for you guys to see it. And I'm sorry I don't have a better setup here, but I do my best with what I have. So, starting out with Beit. You see how they both start out with that little curve on the top and curve down? Now here's where you can tell the difference between Beit and Kaf. Beit goes straight down and Kaf kind of curves. And then they both have that straight line on the bottom. So Beit is much more boxy and Kaf is much more curvy, which would make sense because Beit is the house and Kaf is the open palm. And also I want to explain that I spelled these according to the way that they are spelled on the cards that we used to be able to order from the Zazzle store, because I just like to be as consistent as possible, and those are the ones that I use. So, Gimel and Nun. Now, and I'm also sorry, my pen kind of started getting funky. That's why I changed the color so many times. There's so many things in this world that we gotta work around. So, Gimel and Nun. Gimel, let me try to get this one a little closer because this one's kind of hard to see. To me, it almost looks like a leg with a high-heeled boot, where the other one looks like a leg with just a shoe. I don't know if you can kind of see that, what I'm talking about. The Gimel has a little heel on the bottom and looks like a platform with the leg and then the hip, where this could just look like a shoe and the leg and then the hip. That's how I remember it. Dalet and Resh. Dalet has a little more curve, kind of goes in and then comes out, where Resh is the curve and then just goes straight down. Now I've noticed on prints that are extremely small, it's very hard to even tell the difference with this pair, you know, no matter how skilled you are at looking at the letter forms. So if you just can't tell and there's no help with a little notation like in Strong's that I was talking about, that it'll, explain with the word typed out next to it, then ask Elohim to reveal it to you and he'll tell you which one it is, at least which one he wants it to be, to reveal something to you personally in this word that you're looking up. Then we have Hey, Chet, and Tau. Hey, see, and it's interesting because they all start with that curve and then come down, curve and then come down, curve and then come down. Where Hey, this part doesn't connect all the way up. There's a little space. With Chet, it connects all the way up. And then with Tau, it kind of curves down and then comes out with that little shoe on the very end. Then we have Wow and the final Nun. Now a final nun or mem, like you'll see here, final sad, sadi, sometimes people say, that will occur when it's the very final ot at the end of a word. So waw, we have the little tip and curve down. Then with the final nun, we have the little tip and then it curves down much farther. It's a lot longer. So, you know, when you're looking up a word, it's very important to pay attention to if it's at the end of a word, does it kind of come down a little farther than the other letter forms that are listed? Then we have waw again, and then zayin. So waw is all connected. Zayin, you see the little curve, and then the line is in between, whereas over here it's on the end. Now this one, there's a lot of similarities. Here's the one that I confused. Tet and mem. Tet, the space is on the top. Mem, the space is on the bottom. To me, that's the biggest key in recognizing the difference. Of course, you know, the space is in the middle here, where the space is on the bottom left-hand corner over here. And then up here, there's just, you know, this kind of like zayin, where it has the curve on the top and the line in the middle. To me, everything else is the same with the two of them. So those are the points you need to remember that are separate between tet and mem. And then we go over here to samech and mem, where they both start out with that curve on top and then the line coming down, line coming straight across on the bottom. And then over here, the line, there's that space, and the line over here, there's no space. So that's how you can tell the difference between samech and mem. Now the final mem, that's pretty challenging, especially when it's really small print. But, you know, if you get, which I recommend you do, you know, either while you're watching this video or after or even before, whichever your brain learns best on, get a digital copy or a printed copy of these that are printed, not hand-drawn, so you can really look at the differences. And you'll see that samech is a little tiny bit more circular than mem is. Now, the difference that I saw in this is that final mem was a little bit larger than samech too. I don't know if you can kind of tell. They both start out with that curve on top, curve straight down, curve across, and curve connecting. So this is the one that I really recommend you look at a printed copy so you can really study it for the difference yourself. I did my best hand drawing it, but there was also that marker issue. Then we go up to ayin and sar, sadi. Ayin doesn't have this straight line that comes across like sadi does. To me, that's a pretty big differentiating mark right there, because you can see how the top kind of looks similar, except on the top also sadi has this little bit bigger, you know, coloring in than ayin. Then we go down to kuf and the final pei. Now to me, what you can kind of mix up pretty easily, also because these aren't shown as much, I've noticed that the ones that you see a lot more often, you know, you just automatically think, oh, that's mem, or oh, that's resh, you know, when it could be a dalet or a pei. So kuf and pei, because Pei, I kind of feel like shows up a little more than Kuf. Pei is facing left. Kuf is facing right. That's how I see it with these curves that come out. And of course this one has a straight line on the bottom where this one has a curve on the bottom of the circle in the middle. And then over here we have the ones that I mentioned that are standalones: Aleph, Yod, Lamed, Pei. Not the final Pei. Remember, this one is at the end of the word, but just a regular Pei. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like Dalit, but I'm sorry, not Dalit, Beit, but Beit, it has no part coming down and in, where over here it does have the part coming down and in. And then Sadi, yeah, it kind of has the final noon length, but that's it. The top, you know, it's still got that indentation that none of the other ones have. And Sheen, the teeth, none of them look like that. So, I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, remember you can always ask in the comments, or, you know, search other videos that help explain this, search the web. I'll of course get back as quickly as I can. I'm really both because, you know, I prayed a lot about this to see if Abba willing I could get an extra day off so I could give more time to these studies, and he granted it. So starting this Tuesday, I have 2 days off a week now instead of just 1. So that'll help a lot, because you know how busy life is. We gotta, you know, do our chores and run errands and all that on our days off too. So it was too much with just having the 1 day off a week. So praise Elohim that we can spend as much time with him as we can during these last days. He'll make it happen for us if we are craving that time and we don't feel like we can get it. Just keep praying for it in your prayers when you talk to him, and he'll make a way. There's always a way with Elohim, as long as it's his will. Shalom, Mishpacha, and may Elohim baruch your studies.